Craig, let's talk about some of those options. Put yourself in Pedro's shoes. You're winding down your career. You're looking for your next step. You know what he's got left in the tank. You just told us that. Some of the options: Betis, Roma, reportedly Japan as well. Would you choose MLS if those are your options?
I mean, it's a tough one in the current climate. Is it just about money? And I think the thing is with most of these players that have played at the level he has for a decade plus, it really can't just boil down to money, you wouldn't think, unless they've had some problems. So then you got to strike a balance with the finances, with the family, and with the football. And, clearly going back to Spain is going to be an option for him, and probably will be something that happens full-time at some point. But I do think coming over here is something that would fit well with him. And I mentioned it in my first answer, Sebi, quite a lot of the criticism over the past decade or so about players coming here as well. Is he here for the money? Is he here for the lifestyle? Does he want to actually contribute? Is his attitude going to be right? And I think whenever you watch Pedro play, whether he is a good game or a bad game or an indifferent game, the work rate is always immense. And I think that's the core issue for a player like that coming here, as well as the talent, as well as pulling people in, as well as the profile. It's the attitude. And I think he would be perfect for coming over here. I think he's at a good age. I still think he's got a lot to offer. And as Herc mentioned, there's not going to be a transfer fee, so a couple of $1 million or thereabouts in salary might be able to get the job done. And I think it would be a good statement from Major League Soccer.
Herc, you talked about the options. Let's focus on two specifically, New York City FC and Inter Miami. They both badly need superstars, both badly need designated players. Who do you think would need Pedro more?
I don't know if New York City FC badly needs a superstar. They've been one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference.
How often do we talk about him, Herc?
Yeah, but badly need in what sense? In a marketing sense, they just had David Villa. They just had
That's
Patrick
part of the
Vieira.
I think about a designated player. I think so.
But what I'm saying is they don't badly need him in comparison to Inter, who doesn't have that star, who's not had that star. So that's a different story right there.
Inter Miami can't go bigger than Pedro?
They should go bigger than Pedro. And if they got Pedro, I'd be extremely disappointed as an Inter Miami fan, even though he'd be a great addition on the field. That's not what the ownership group, what David Beckham and Jorge Mas have promised us. They've promised us that star caliber player. They promised us, in essence, they were talking about Messi. They were talking about Ronaldo. They were talking about Neymar. This isn't Messi, Ronaldo, or Neymar, even though, and Craig mentioned to this, he's won everything you can possibly win. He'd be a fantastic addition. At the club level, he's won it all. At the country level, he's won it all. Fantastic in terms of footballing product. But off the field, you'd be hard-pressed for a lot of people in Miami to really pick Pedro out of a lineup when you're talking about the big star players in this world's game, like a Neymar, like a Ronaldo, or like a Messi. I would be extremely disappointed if I'm Miami. If I'm New York, I'm not that disappointed because I don't think they need that star player that bad. They've proven in their history that they've had those players, that they've had those coaches. They just need players on the field who can get it done now.
I think Inter Miami boys have gone about it all the wrong way in terms of, telling the fans who they're going to bring in. I understand if you want to sell season books, you want to fill a stadium, maybe you go down that route. But if you're a supporter and you get sold down the river and believing that at this moment in time Messi or Ronaldo are coming, then you're stupider than you look. So I think what the way that they could have gone was played it down a little bit. Kept the cards close to the chest, tried to get some decent players, and maybe pulled a rabbit from the hat in terms of a surprise. Instead of saying, well, we're going for this player, with this player, this player, and this player, some of the biggest talents on the planet, and then all of a sudden you go back to somebody who's been a very, very good player, but it hasn't got the gravitas of the guys that they've talked about. All of a sudden it becomes a disappointment. When really signing Pedro isn't a disappointment for anybody, or shouldn't be.
Exactly. I think he's exactly right. Craig just hit the nail on the head here. You can go about it two ways nowadays with Major League Soccer. You can go about it the way that Atlanta and LAFC have done with these, great young South American talents or young talent just in general, Major League Soccer, and sprinkle in a player or two that's a very good international caliber. or you can go the Minnesota United route when they first came into the league, and it's not really spend. Go with some Major League Soccer players that are veteran presence, but not really big-time players within the league. They kind of got caught in between both. If you look at their front line, you have Juan Agudelo, who's at times shown he has potential, but never been a huge name within Major League Soccer. Pellegrini, who's one of these South American young signings. We don't really know what we're going to get. And then Pizarro, and a lot of holes in that roster. So you shouldn't really be saying, we want the world's best, we're going to get big stars. You didn't go one way or the other. You're just kind of trying to promise people that you're going to do big things without actually fulfilling them.
All right, then Pedro, 32. He'll turn 33 this year. Options in Spain. It would appear Italy, Japan as well. We'll see if he ends up in Major League Soccer.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.